discuss about very important term, that is a sexual conflict. And this term sexual conflict, it's also called as sexual antagonism. Okay, it's also called as sexual antagonism. And this sexual conflict, it's based on the idea of optimal fitness strategy, and it's concerned to reproduction. Now, when I say that it's concerned to reproduction, it can be related to mating frequency, mate choice, parental investment, or infanticide, or sperm competition and cryptic female choice. Now, these are different types of sexual conflict, that why they arise. So simply you can consider that sexual conflict, when we talk about evolution, when we think of evolution, it's something as the evolutionary arms race. So it's evolutionary arms race between male and female. For example, if you will see in Drosophila, there is one thing that is observed, that as many times the male interacts, male mates, its chances of transferring the gene, its chance of producing the offsprings increase, but that of the female decreases. This is sexual antagonism. If the male's chances increase and females will decrease. We will read about this in one of the examples. And sexual conflict, it underlies the evolutionary distinct between the male and the female. Now, this sexual conflict, it actually takes place as in the form of, it refers to the evolutionary conflict between males and females over the reproduction, because the reproductive interests of the two sexes differ. The males generally maximize the fitness by mating with multiple females. Now, if there is a male, it will try to mate with different types of female, because it will increase the chance of producing many offsprings as the number of females increase. But females, what females do, instead of choosing many males, they will be very choosy. They will pick one strong male. That's usually called as alpha male. These females will choose one strong male, and they will invest in the quality of the offspring. This creates the antagonistic behavior, and it will also help in the adaptation between the sexes. Now, the types of sexual conflict, it include the conflict over the mating frequency. Mating frequency means how many times an organism mates. Now, males, when you consider the males, they will benefit from frequent mating, and it ensures the paternity. As many times this male will interact, as many frequently it will mate with the female, higher will be the chances of the offspring being a child of this male. But female, they may resist excessive mating due to costs. And while the females, when they mate, they might undergo certain injury, energy loss, or reduced survival. Now, this reduced survival, a good example is Drosophila. This Drosophila, in case of Drosophila, the seminal fluid that is produced by the male, it's actually containing the toxic proteins. These toxic proteins are good for male, but they are harmful for the female. They actually decrease the lifespan of this female. What they do, they increase the male success, but they reduce the female lifespan. And it's a negative, it's sexual antagonism for this female. Next is the conflict over the mate choice. There can be conflict over the mate choice. For example, the males, they evolve the traits to attract or coerce the females. And in turn, what females do, they evolve the resistance to avoid the low quality males. Now, good example is water striders. The males, they will attempt forced copulation, but females, they have such morphological traits that they will avoid these males and they will only interact with a strong male. This is a chase away selection. This is a chase away selection. This is a form of intersexual characteristic evolution. And it's also sensory exploitation as well as female resistance. So it creates an environment in which this male frequency, mating frequency, and male secondary sexual trait development, they are somewhat in step with the female's degree of resistance. Then is the conflict over the parental investment. Now, conflict over the parental investment means that females, they will invest more time, energy in the offspring. For example, you will see that the females carry the baby or the eggs, and maximum time they will care. And what males do, males attempt to reduce their parental care while pushing the females to invest more. Now, this is found in most of the fish and bird species. The males, they desert the female after mating, leaving the females to raise the offspring, and they go on to mate with other females. But there is another point, that is the infanticide as the sexual conflict. What males do, they kill the unrelated offsprings to bring the females back to estrus. Okay? So what is happening here? This male, it will kill the unrelated offspring. Now, unrelated offspring means, for example, there is a male and there is some female who already has an offspring. It will kill this offspring to mate with this female, and it will increase the reproductive opportunity. It will increase the reproductive, the frequency, the number of offsprings that it can produce. Now, example is that of the Hanuman langurs and lions. It's also found in the lions. The lion will kill the cubs of another lion, of the lioness, and then it will try to mate with that lioness. This is what happens. Okay, one thing I'll like to highlight is that there are certain sensory exploitations also. So there are certain sensory exploitations. This happens in order to overcome the female resistance. When this female shows resistance, in order to overcome this female resistance or female reluctance, I would say, this male, it will develop certain sensory exploitations. It can even result in the chase away selection. There are also other mechanisms in the sexual conflicts, for example, traumatic insemination. Traumatic insemination, or even the forced copulation, or the love darts, or the penis fencing. There are these different methods. And what is included in the female resistance traditionally? It includes certain negative effects to the mechanisms which are implemented by the male. Now, if this male is implementing certain methods, the females, they will show some methods which are very negative to this female. For example, there is sexual cannibalism. Or the increased fitness in females on the offspring and increased aggression to the males. So there are these different methods how the females and males, they balance the sexual conflict. Next is the sperm competition and the cryptic female choice. The sperm competition includes that males, they evolve a strategy with the copulatory plugs, prolonged mating, or removal of the rival sperms. And the cryptic female choice, it includes female influence, which male sperm fertilizes the eggs often hidden from the females. And examples are insects like damselflies. They remove the sperm of previous males before the insemination. Now, there are certain evolutionary outcomes of the sexual conflict. For example, sexual dimorphism. Sexual dimorphism is when you see any antelope, you will see the male and female. The female is usually smaller in size, but males they have huge antlers. And in case of birds, there is bright plumage. They have very bright feathers. The good example is you can go through the documentary. This documentary is available on Netflix or even YouTube. There are birds of paradise. I will suggest that you watch this documentary. It's one of the beautiful documentaries available on internet. Next is the antagonistic coevolution. Antagonistic coevolution means that males they evolve the coercive traits and females they will evolve the resistance traits. Now this is what I was talking about, the evolutionary arms race. Then is mating systems diversity. There is different types of systems: monogamy, polygyny, promiscuity. It's shaped by the conflict resolution. And the significance in ethology is that it explains the main mating strategies, parental care, reproductive adaptations, helps to understand the co-evolutionary dynamics between the sexes. And it also reveals the natural selection balances individual fitness versus the species survival. Now this sexual conflict, it can be in two major forms. It can be in two major forms. First one will be the interlocus sexual conflict. So it is an interaction. It is the interaction where there is interaction of a set of. So it's an interaction of a set of antagonistic alleles at one or more loci in males and females. Now, example is the conflict over mating rates. I already explained the example is that of the Drosophila. It has a protein, a seminal fluid protein that increases the fitness of male, but at the same time it decreases the fitness of female. And next is the intralocus. Next will be the intralocus sexual conflict. Now, intralocus sexual conflict, it is represented as a tug of war between the natural selection on both sexes and sexual selection on one sex. Now, it's a tug of war between the natural selection on both sexes and sexual selection on one sex. Now, example is the bill color on zebra finches. Now, when I say that bill color on the zebra finches, this bill color, it's actually an ornamentation on the body. And don't you think that this ornamentation, it has two uses? One is to attract the female. Sorry, not two uses, but one effect will be to attract the female. That is positive for it. But the negative will be that it will also attract the predators. So, according to natural selection, it should not have the ornamentation, but according to sexual selection it should have the ornamentation, and in this case the sexual selection has won and there will be bill color on the zebra fringes. Now this is called as the intralocus conflict. So this is how we explain the sexual antagonism, and there is this sexual conflict between the females and the males. Uh, there will be different types and different ways to express it in our natural settings, in the artificial settings, even when we are studying them. As we already discussed, in controlled environments we study them. There is also the effect of positive selection in sexually antagonistic genes. It can be seen in C. elegans, it can be seen in Drosophila. So there are also certain evolutionary theories which are related to it. But here we have discussed about the female resistance, like in case of the water striders, even the sperm competition, and already all the experiments, all the studies they have already done. So we need not go into that. And advantages and disadvantages, they will be there. For males it will be an advantage to increase the mating, increase the more the number of offspring, sperm maintenance, sperm storage. And if you will see for females, it is it can be a very wide range of detrimental effects from the males. For example, reduced longevity, and there is distortion in the feeding behaviors. There can be wounds, repair through the energy consumption, susceptibility to the predators, reduced female immune response. So there are certain ways where it's not beneficial for the females. This is what sexual conflict is. And this sexual conflict, it can be before or during the mating or even after the mating. In infanticide is a type of behavior where the adult, it kills the younger individuals including the eggs. So this is the sexual conflict and it's commonly observed. And another one will be like traumatic insemination. I already said that. So they are also included in these ways. There is also one thing, that is the spiky genitals. It's also present. Loud darts, they are painful for the female.